Good afternoon from Long Beach. I'm Steve Lowery, the editor of the Hilo, the arts and culture section of the Long Beach Post. Today, we are joined via satellite or whatever it is by Martin Haselbock, the musical director of Musica Angelica. Martin, thank you so much for being here with us.
It's a pleasure. And you feel so close as if you would be around the corner from here.
But we're not close. We want to make that clear. We're proper social distancing. They say the minimum amount of space, Martin, is 6 feet. I checked from Long Beach to Vienna is about 6,000 miles, so I think we're good.
I think it would make it, yeah, sure. Long Beach for me is very close always. I love it and I love to be there, but right now I'm far away.
So let's address the elephant that's not in the room, which is I am in Long Beach. You're not. You were supposed to be here.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be here, but you're not. Tell us what happened.
At this moment, I was supposed to do a rehearsal with my musicians, Musica Angelica, but I'm sitting in my library in Vienna because of Corona, of the virus, which turned everything upside down. And my story was 2 weeks ago, more than 2 weeks ago, on the 10th of March, we had with my Vienna orchestra a big concert in the Golden Hall, the Musikverein, with the Beethoven violin concerto and the big symphony by Schubert. And we performed with all power. And suddenly after the rehearsal with many people in the hall, people came up from the office and told us there's a new law. You're not allowed to perform anymore. The concert is canceled. 2,000 people will be sent home. Then we almost cried. We went home because the virus was not there in Austria yet. We heard about other countries, about Italy, China tour was canceled. And so we had to go home, and since then, everything is different. Everything has been changed.
Did you figure at that moment that you wouldn't be coming to, did you know you wouldn't be coming to America at that moment, or did that come later?
It came 1 week later because our board and Steve Goodling, our board president, he knew about it. But then we heard we were not allowed to travel anymore. Then the restrictions came to Los Angeles. I was expecting it, but I was not expecting that it would come so soon. And since then, my Vienna staff is sitting in the office, coming in every morning, and we are just dealing with cancellations. So far, 35 big projects have been canceled. A tour to China, a tour from America was supposed to go directly to Warsaw in Poland to conduct with the Philharmonic. And we had a tour to Malta, a tour to South America. Everything has been happily not just canceled. Most events have been postponed. And I'm really looking forward to come to a later concert with Musica Angelica. But I was very sad because especially we were supposed to do this big piece by Bach, the St. Matthew Passion, and this is something special. You do just once a year. Yeah, we can.
I want to talk about that, but for the millions and millions who are watching us right now, explain the uniqueness of Musica Angelica. It's not your run-of-the-mill symphony. It is something very specific and focused.
Yeah. Musica Angelica is specialized in Baroque music. Yeah, Baroque means the instruments are different, the music is different, and the big symphonies came 100 years later after the Baroque music. The halls got big, and big symphonies had 100 members, 90 members, 80 members. We are 20 members, 25 members, and so everybody in there is a soloist. And then the orchestra plays, maybe I can show you, the orchestra plays antique instruments, which are very different. I have in Vienna, here I can show it, I bring it, one moment.
Let's see it. Look at this.
I bring one of these trumpets. Yeah? So this is a Baroque trumpet. It looks like a machinery from these angels. This is an original. It's dated 1683, so it's before 100 years before, older than the American nation or something. And so my Musica Angelica musicians play this kind of hardware. Yeah, so it sounds different. It's much harder to perform. It's much harder to play. All these guys are specialists. All these guys are really specialized in a special kind of music. And the excitement is you are dealing with soloists. You're dealing with unique people. And rehearsals are different. Usually when you work with a symphony, you tell them you do that, and that. but they are all individuals. They're all soloists, and they say, oh yeah, I do it different, I do it this way. And so it creates this atmosphere of, yeah, it's like a band where you have just 4 or 5 members and everybody brings in his art, and this is fascinating in many ways.
Well,
yeah?
I've always wondered about your orchestra, if you can get anybody who is obviously an exceptional musician. It sounds like you actually need someone who has a very kind of specific talent
Training.
and also a very specific outlook.
Yeah, and a specific training. It's a different, for some instruments, like a jazz trumpet player, a symphony trumpet player, if you give him something like that into his hands and for his mouth, he has to learn it, he has to study it one year. So even the violinists, so they are fantastic violinists, great soloists who could not play with us because it's a different kind of, I would say, a different kind of hardware. Yeah, and a different kind of training. And for sure, you play different music. With Musica Angelica, I would not play, for sure, I would not play rock or pop, but I would also not play like Tchaikovsky or so on. This is a different cup of tea. I remember when years ago I was invited to start to work with Musica Angelica. There was a big promoter for the music, which was Charles Colburn Foundation, a big name for the arts in Southern California. And he told me, young man, I was young then, it was 17 years ago, young man, promise me never to do anything beyond Beethoven. Yeah.
Okay.
So Beethoven is still the same kind of, similar kind of instruments, similar kind, different style for sure. But
and you had planned to do Bach's St. Matthew Passion. That was going to be a terrific thing. I'm sure you were really looking forward to that.
St. Matthew Passion is the biggest piece ever written for Baroque instruments. So it doesn't ask only for one orchestra, it asks for 2 orchestras. So everything is doubled. Yeah, you have 2 choirs, 2 orchestras, not 4 soloists, you have 8 soloists. And this piece has a long, sometimes unhappy story with Musica Angelica. We did a huge tour around the world almost with this piece in 2007. And last year we had a performance of this piece, which was the first one in Los Angeles, supposed to be. And before we had a performance in Mexico City. And after the show in Mexico City, we arrived 60 people to the airport to hear that American Airlines has canceled the flight. And we were standing beginning of Easter holidays, and they told us the earliest we can get you out of here is in 4 days. And then our office started to work, and we arranged a bus to another city where there was a flight to Los Angeles the next morning, hotel, bus, and so on. And we managed to be here 3 hours before the performance last year. And it was the best, the most beautiful performance I can remember. Yeah, we were still fighting without success to get the money back for the extra flights and so on from the airline. Yeah. But so, and this year again, a mishap in the beginning, and this time we couldn't correct it. So we are hoping for next year, because this is a piece which is symbolizing in some ways the high art of the Baroque, and which is the best time to do it is before Easter. So we try to do it next year.
Are you keeping in touch via these types of methods with your musicians? Are you guys able to actually even be on top, like play and rehearse together and talk about concepts?
In some ways, musicians need a live performance, because for sure you can do a recording. I'm also a university teacher for music here in Vienna, and with all the universities are closed, with my students, I can keep the contact. You can tell them to that, and play for me briefly. But for real rehearsal, you would need something like Zoom for 20 people. Then you couldn't control the balance. This you cannot do. For sure, you can have the contact and you can talk about things and you can prepare things. Yeah, but rehearsal is impossible. This is a pity. Yeah.
When we were emailing back and forth, and I saw you talk about this somewhere else too. For a musician, there's a difference between playing and performing. And you said how much musicians yearn to perform. Can you give us the distinction between the two?
Yeah, the distinction, if you are at home and to try out your instrument and you practice your instrument, you're playing. Yeah. When you have mastered the piece, when you have the idea how to communicate with the piece, you need the audience. and then you're performing. You need to perform, yeah. And the tragic thing for musicians, I would say, all the arts work under these circumstances, because you can read a book, you can watch a painting. With music in the full art, for sure, you can stream music, you can stream opera and so on. And we have many, many recordings. We have more than, and they're in the streaming service. And I send out to our friends, I send out, listen here and listen here, but this is not the live concert. So in some ways, I'm sure this situation has for everybody, and it's new. It's never something like that has happened before. Yeah. And if a musician is tied to his home, for me, the first time I had to come down a little bit to relax. And then I have my routine right now. I get up early, and I'm lucky I have my pipe organ to practice, and I sit down and I play every morning 3 hours, and then I'm relaxed. And especially when you play Bach, it's a different world, and it opens a door, and it's like meditation. Yeah. And
we're going to talk about my man Bach here in a second, but I want to ask you something. Many people at times like this will take refuge in art, all different kinds of art, visual art, literature, music. But Martin, I think there's little doubt that for the majority of people, music is a refuge in tough times, and it's something we use to celebrate. I wonder, given that you've given your whole life over to it, what do you think it is intrinsically about music that I think inarguably hits us deeper than any other art form, and why do we look to it for refuge?
I had a nice quotation. We had this project with the actor John Malkovich. We worked with him for 10 years. We still are working. And after one performance, he said, "I can smash anybody on a stage, but music smashes me." And for me, this is this impression. You talk, and for sure I talk a lot, and then there's a border, and there's a world which you cannot express with words. And for me, this world is music. Yeah. The thing is, you cannot talk about, you can describe it. For sure, it's with many, many things. It's, if you have a fantastic meal, it might be similar. But my addiction to music is that you live with a piece for 30 years, 40 years. Yeah. And when it's really a great piece of art, every time you touch it or you do it again, you discover something new. It has a new message for you. And for me, this is the meaning of true art. When mediocre art, you can explain. You can say, he did that, and he made this brush with this painting like that, or he wrote in C major. But if it becomes really high art, you cannot explain it anymore. It's just, it's here, and it influences you. It's changing you. And this
what pieces are like that for you? What pieces do you play when you're like, this is otherworldly? Yeah,
for sure Bach. Yeah, Bach is very serious, and in some ways you have to dig in. Yeah, if you cannot have Bach you can have it in your car driving, but you cannot have it as a background music, because you wouldn't get it. Yeah, and the more you dig in, the more it gets you. Yeah, and in some ways Bach is preaching, because I, as a musician, I can say that there are two musicians where they can deliver two different messages with one line of music. There's the line of music, it's a nice song, and then he can tell you something, an underlying message. Yeah, and with Bach is that. Bach is very serious all the time. Even I think he was not a funny guy. He was not a witty guy. But whatever he tells you is kind of do that, do that, do that. And then totally different. This year is the year of Beethoven. And with my Vienna orchestra, we recorded all the symphonies. We were supposed right now, 3 months after St. Matthew Passion, to travel through the world with Beethoven symphonies. And with Beethoven is the other thing, is you feel his music is so vital and so fresh, as if it would have been written yesterday. And with Beethoven, you have to put in so much energy that you're tired afterwards. In some ways, I feel he's like a wild animal. You have to fight when you're a musician. Yeah. And then
now, I emailed you this question. Why is it that Beethoven remains a rock star. Everybody knows what Beethoven looks
Sure.
like. If you play the first few notes of the fifth, oh, that's Beethoven. And Bach, for whatever reason, does not resonate with popular culture. Why doesn't Bach resonate like Beethoven?
Yeah, because Beethoven lived in a world. I'm Viennese, and he lived all of his life, most of his life in Vienna. And the living situation then was very similar today, like today. Political, it was a fight against, in some ways, dictatorship, against nobility. And in some ways, Beethoven's music is everything. It's very political, not just Fidelio. It's very direct, and you feel always he's dealing with things you're dealing as well too. Bach comes from a different world. Bach was a composer who didn't think he's inventing something. He thought he's a mirror of some divine proportions, yeah, like a medieval man. And then for sure, Bach lived a religious life, which is not a part of our life anymore in many ways. Yeah. So for people who look for the deeper message, Bach is the ideal person. Yeah. But even you can compare to the other Baroque guy, like Handel. He wrote the Messiah, but the rest is opera. It's outside, beautiful Baroque flamboyancy. Bach is deep, is aside, yeah. And
you know you're correct, because it is not unusual now when you see major political movements, sometimes revolutionary movements that go on, you will hear Beethoven.
Oh yeah.
He still speaks to
because
people.
He felt himself. There's the symbol of Prometheus. Yeah, Beethoven thought. At first, he had this fight with Napoleon. Yeah, where he admired Napoleon, then he destroyed his score because suddenly he hated Napoleon when Napoleon took the crown to become the emperor. Yeah, and Beethoven was really a revolutionary, and his art is very connected to this German idea of idealistic movement, like Schiller, and as a writer. Yeah, so he was the beginning. For me, he was the first modern person, with the first visible modern, and even as a composer, Bach felt himself like a mirror, like somebody who is embedded. Beethoven felt himself as the lonely ranger, the lonely guy. I have to fight for my invention. I have to fight for everything. Even if you see his scores, his music.
Martin, can we ask you to play a little something for us?
Playing. I would have to walk up to my instruments one floor higher, but here I can, if you can see that, I'm alone here. Therefore, this is a little Baroque organ, which is from 1600 something. I can play probably 20 seconds because I have to pull out that wind. It doesn't have a blower. Yeah. Here you see it, the wind blower. And then I have to hold my computer with one hand. Yeah, I need my other hand to play really something, but this was a little pipe organ in the Baroque, which they carried for processions. They took it, and therefore it was small. It's like it's a Baroque synthesizer in some ways. But sorry, next time we do a concert and I walk up. Yeah.
Mark, what are your days like? Are you just practicing all the time? What's your days like?
Yeah, right now we have. I live here in a very big old apartment in Vienna, and the orchestra's office is one floor up with my studio. And so since my family lives, one of my daughters lives here in town with their kids, but we are not allowed to see the grandkids. And my very old parents live nearby, so I walk over and bring them something because they don't dare to go to the shops anymore. And so I practice in the morning, and then my office people, 2 people in my office come, and then the last 2 weeks we were on the phone and we're dealing with agencies in South America and with cancellations, and with our musicians. My Vienna orchestra is bigger than Musica Angelica. We have 50 people in the group, so they have to. We feel responsible for them. They have to know what's going on. For them, it's 3 months without work so far. So far, everything has been canceled, and then we cook and and I read more than I have read, and I try not to get too much by the news in there because they're changing every day. So and we communicate for sure. It's the new communication with Zoom. Yeah.
When you're talking with your orchestra people, is there any kind of, are you saying, okay, 3 months, 6 months? Is there any kind of time standard that you guys are looking to, or are you just kind of, well, we're just gonna have to see?
So not that the thing it's really unbelievable because nobody, they start to know more about the developments. Yeah, they start, and if you imagine, I think the whole world is thinking about what can you do against it, and I think there's so much intelligence around that finally they have to find a solution. Yeah, but for us, just for the artists, right now, the May has been cancelled. Yeah, which is some places in June have been cancelled, and then in Austria it's the time of the big festivals. We have Salzburg Festival, which is a multi-million-dollar industry. Yeah, and this year it's the 100th anniversary of the festival. So everybody is just fearing that the summer will be a fall too. Yeah, but what I think is that the regular life is starting again this fall. And even for Musica Angelica, we would have had a gala for the donors, and we have many donors who support our art. We had to cancel the gala. So I asked in Vienna, I asked our friend, please subscribe for the next season, because this is money coming in for 2 big subscriptions. And if we sell all the subscriptions, this is money to support the orchestra. Yeah. And even for Musica Angelica, we will come out with our next year program soon. And what I want to do is I want to tell all our friends, please stay with us, please subscribe for next season, please donate, please listen to us on different stream. We have, for instance, we made a deal with one of the biggest streaming companies for classical music, and they give all our subscribers, and I can do this for Musica Angelica as well, all the subscribers a free entrance for the time until the concerts start again, and so on. And everybody improvises, and maybe, and I ask our musicians, Musica Angelica musicians, to do these little clips for Facebook and for the new media, to stay alive and to stay in contact with our audience, because I love our Long Beach audience, because you feel this is a city which is big enough, but not too big, that people are really connected with the art form. And right now you have the symphony, you have the opera, you have us. It's should be stay alive. Yeah?
Martin, in the Haselbock home, when you're not playing, of course, Bach and Beethoven to listen to, what other kind of music do you like to just listen to? Popular music, what do you like?
Yeah, the popular music, I'm a jazz fan, so this is not popular either. So I listen to all kinds of jazz from the beginning to modern. Yeah, and then I'm more or less, we have this tradition of cabaret songs over here, which can go into pop songs. We have this Austro pop. There are some friends of mine doing big things. Yeah, so I'm not so much connected to the mainstream pop. Yeah, my American connection finished maybe in some ways with Bob Dylan and with the songwriters. Yeah, but this is the world around what we have, and yeah.
I'm curious, as a musician, did you always know you were going to go into classical, or are there garage tapes of Martin Haselbock playing some heavy metal or something like that somewhere?
No, it's true. I tried it out when I was at school with some friends. We had even a band, and I have a friend who is a famous director who is doing the big operas and so on. And we played in the same band, and he wrote the text for the John Malkovich pieces. But then I gave up. He's still playing with them after 20 years.
What kind of music was it? What style of music was it?
It was heavy metal in a European way. But this was school time, end of high school, beginning college time, really the wild period. But then I felt my instrument is my basic instrument is the pipe organ, and with that you can make lots of noise anyway. You don't need heavy metal. You can be louder than heavy metal, and even with big orchestras you can be louder. Yeah, even if you go into classical music. Yeah?
I wanted to ask you, we were talking about performance, and we do a thing here called the 7 where we suggest things for people to do normally outside. But of course, now we have to talk about what they can do inside. So one of the things we suggested is watching this beautiful clip of Pavarotti singing Nessun Dorma, very famous.
Yeah.
And it's always struck me at the end of that when he does it, there's this moment where you see where he has gone to a place that he did not know he could go. He is even shocked by his performance. Yeah. I'm curious, as a performer, have you been in that place in front of an audience that they take you somewhere where you didn't think you could go?
Yeah, no, sure. But even with Baroque, it's easier than with some other forms because improvisation is always something in there. Yeah, so you start with a piece, and there's some pieces where you alone can develop in a direction, and you go there. And quite often, if a performance is really hip and really taking off, then there are these moments where you know that you're floating. Yeah, you know exactly. I cannot control everything anymore, but it's still on.
You don't want to, right?
Yeah, you don't want to control it because in some, your fingers. As a performer, sometimes you feel you're watching your fingers, and you say they're doing things you didn't expect them to do, or something. Yeah, and this. Not everything in life can be controlled. Something can really take off.
As points out that while you're in Vienna, why I'm here. Hey, we were talking about the view from what was going on in Vienna, but before we went on, we were talking about how Vienna looks upon the U.S., and I said, are the Austrians as obsessed with toilet paper as Americans are? And you told me something funny, can you?
Now, I have these many friends in America and in Los Angeles, and they were the first ones to send me the clips about toilet paper. They hold up on the street, give me your drugs, and I have to, and then they get this roll of toilet paper. And so there were right now there are these jokes going on with the quarantine jokes, where what happens on the 6th day, where we had one where the old grandma is kind of knitting for her old grandpa, and she's knitting kind of something around the throat to hang him up. So the wild jokes are coming. Yeah, toilet paper is a little bit out because it became really, it's crazy. Nobody knows why toilet paper. We had 2 days where it was totally sold out. And big trucks, toilet paper. They said a machine can do a mile of toilet paper in 1 hour. Can produce it. Yeah? There's so much around. Why toilet paper?
I don't know. I don't know why that was chosen.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a final question. For myself, I find myself thinking about when all this is over, being able to wake up on a Saturday morning, put on some sweats, walk around the corner to this little diner that all my neighbors go to, sit, have a cup of coffee and some French toast. That will be heaven for me. For you, what kind of simple pleasure that you probably took for granted are you now looking forward to?
Exactly the same. We have what you go to have a hamburger. We go to we call it Würstelstand, sausage stand. I have it around here. I'm very close to the green region of Vienna. You go there and and the coffee house. You go there. You walk. This is really incredible. I walked through this city where there are hundreds of people, thousands of people, and everything is locked down. And for sure, there's the hope. This is my favorite place where on my way to university, I just sit down for a cup of coffee, a drink, and so on. But for sure, it's the Würstelstand, which is instead of the hamburger, it's the sausage stand where you stop and you have the sausages and a little beer and you talk to your friends. And this is, in some ways, this is pleasure, after work pleasure. Yeah?
Now, I imagine it's going to be such a joy for you when you can actually be in a room with other musicians.
Yeah, now and with other people. Yeah, with other people. So I'm very happy that this happened now and not 5 years ago before we had this kind of communication possibility. This would be horrible without, but still, I'm really looking to touch people, to embrace people, to kiss people. Really, you feel if you like people, and right now you have to separate from them. Yeah?
Yeah.
But it will come. It will change. I'm sure I think we are 2-3 weeks ahead of you with the crisis. Yeah. And they don't tell you because we have strict rules and so on. But the feeling is, at first you cannot keep healthy people or people who are kind of healthy locked in for so long. And I'm sure there will be a cure, and it will be. I would guess in 3 weeks or so on, things will look different. I hope.
Well, we look forward to it, and we look forward to you coming back to us. We look forward to watching you, of course.
Greeting to all my friends, audience, musicians in Long Beach. I miss it. Yeah?
Martin, thank you very much for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.